It was a Saturday morning. I will never forget. Andrew Breitbart called me early in the morning, and he said, I need your help. He said, I need you to put together a movement to call for the resignation of the Republican congressman in the district where you broadcast from your flagship station there in Alabama. And he told me about a guy named Peter Schweizer who had done a bunch of research and figured out that there was some real corruption on both sides, some insider trading, some short selling against our own government. But there was hope because there was this measure called the Stock Act that would put a stop to a lot of the corruption taking place, again, on both sides of the aisle. We know how the rest of the story goes because I reported it here yesterday, but while everyone else was zoomed in on what was taking place in Boston, the Stock Act was gutted and thrown by the wayside. And here to talk with me about it is the author of Throw Them All Out, Peter Schweizer. Welcome back to the Dr. Gina Show.
Hey, it's great to be back on with you, Dr. Gina. I remember those early conversations. You were one of the first ones that highlighted this issue and gave us the momentum to make the Stock Act a reality. But now, unfortunately, they have indeed gutted it and taken a lot of the sting away from this.
So tell us what exactly happened. I understand, first of all, one of the most shocking components of this is that it was really unanimous. There was very little resistance by either Republicans or Democrats. This isn't really what we expected when this was all in the limelight, was it?
No, that's exactly right. You know, when this whole issue of insider trading on the stock market by members of Congress came up, the Stock Act emerged, and it would make it a federal crime for them to use non-public information to make stock trades, and there was lots of evidence that a lot of them were doing that and making a lot of money doing it. So the Stock Act passed, and among other things, it would make it against the law for them to do it, but it would also allow people to see who their congressmen were investing in. So, for example, if they were sitting on a healthcare committee and they were trading healthcare stocks at the same time, we would know about that, and that was something that I think was vitally important for people to be able to hold their government to an account. Well, one of the things that's happened is the Stock Act passed. You had 3 people in the House vote against it. Everybody else voted in favor of it. Now come around about almost 2 years later, and they have now taken away some of the most important provisions in that bill. So now no longer are they going to post electronically or online what stock trades our congressmen are making. That part of the bill is gone. And a lot of the government bureaucrats who, are at various government agencies who have a lot of, very important, valuable information that they can make stock trades on, they are not required to comply anymore. So basically the bill has become toothless and is not going to have any of the intended effect. Insider trading is back in vogue in Washington, D.C., and they're all happy to do it, Dr. Gina, because it's very profitable.
That is so disgusting. I can't even see straight. And the only thing that might be a little more disgusting than this is the media blackout, really. I want to know how, you being really the leading expert in the country on this at this point, how many radio programs and television shows have you been on in the last 48 hours while this was all going on?
There's been interest from radio, and there have been a few articles, CNBC and others, but none of the major networks are covering this. And this is really grew out of the initial story, and you probably remember this, Dr. Gina. 60 Minutes did a special on this issue. But a lot of the Washington media press corps, they're more lapdogs than they are watchdogs.
Right.
They want to get the interview with, the powerful congressional figure, the president. They want to be invited to the right social club. So they're not going to rock the boat. So when the book initially came out, a lot of places like the Huffington Post and others just poo-pooed it and said this is not a serious issue. Then when Congress passed the Stock Act by huge numbers, they said it was an important issue.
Right.
So I had to backtrack. But now, of course, as the law has been changed back again, they're completely radio silent.
The definition, really, of lapdogs. What does this mean in real terms for the taxpayers and those who vote in these elections and trust these politicians?
It means we're going to have to take the words of politicians that when they get information that can have a huge effect on the price of a stock. If you're on the Armed Services Committee, you know whether a defense contractor is going to get a contract before pretty much anybody else does. We're going to have to take their word, Dr. Gina, that they're not going to buy or sell stocks based on that information. And that is a perilous place to be. And this is really the broader problem. I know you've talked about it on your program and others. Public service has become a form of public enrichment. And so people now are going into government not only to do good, however they define that, but also to do well. And this is just another one of those perks that the governing elite gets to do that, of course, the rest of us, if we were to do it, would be illegal and would likely end us up in jail.
Yeah, if you Google Stock Act, most of the stories, a great majority of the stories are from 2011, not 2013. What does this mean about the sponsors of the bill?
Well, the sponsors of the bill, there were a couple of people on both sides. Sean Duffy, freshman congressman from Wisconsin, Tea Party elected in 2010, very much wanted to have reform in this area. In fact, he had a bill that was even stronger than the Stock Act, but it never saw the light of day. The Stock Act was not a great bill. It was okay. It was sort of a small step in the right direction. What we really wanted, and I think what we need to continue to insist on, is full transparency. Every 30 days, they should be releasing publicly to where the public can see. They can go online at the database or whatever and see what stock transactions their elected officials are involved in. What they're going to do now, Dr. Gina, is, and remember, this is the era of the internet. This is the era of texting. This is the era of phone apps. They're going to file paper forms that say what their stock transactions are, but of course you can't search those. You can't find those online. The only reason you can find financial disclosures online right now of our elected officials is because certain nonprofit organizations have taken upon themselves to do it. The American public should be able to go and search and see what the investments are when they bought and sold stock, so they can see if there is perhaps a connection. In 2009, you had the Obamacare healthcare reform. You had people from both parties buying and selling millions of dollars worth of stock in health-related companies.
Exactly.
That's something that we should know. And the idea that we shouldn't know it on the grounds that it might create national security problems, this is the claim of the people who have gutted the Stock Act, is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. There is no national security component. The idea that by somehow putting these online that you could somehow subject people in government or in Congress to some kind of pressure is absolutely absurd. It's an excuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, we're out of time, and I hate that, but I really put a lot of the blame, having been inside politics, watching my husband as a senator, I really have to tell you that there's a lot of blame to go to the sponsor of this bill that should have been raising holy hell when this all was going down, and they didn't. And I just want to say that to listeners so they can understand how the inside of politics works. These sponsors went spineless on us, I'm afraid.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the perception is that we're not paying attention anymore. And that's the sad reality of why they operate the way they do.
Exactly. Well, Peter Schweizer, he is the William J. Casey Research Fellow at the Hoover Institution and, of course, author of Throw Them All Out, which detailed the abuses of insider knowledge for financial gain by the congressman, as if we need reasons to get mad. But I'm telling you, every American is responsible for knowing the facts laid out in this book. You can find it. It is linked at DocG.TV. The name of the book again, Throw Them All Out. Peter Schweizer, a true American hero for pointing to all of this. I hope this all comes back up soon, and I will be on board to help you in every way I can once again.
Well, thanks so much as always, Dr. Gina. I really appreciate you standing there beside us on this.
All right. All the best to you, Peter.